Hey, what's up, y'all? Last video was a bit more opinionated. This video is going to focus on factual issues that hindered my personal overall experience with this game. Before we get started, I just want to clarify, I don't hate this game, guys. I actually had fun playing it at times. I like some of the new additions like Ashes of War and weapon arts. Along with the art style and overall visuals, some locations are breathtakingly beautiful. With that being said, though, I still stand behind everything I said in the first video. This is a heavily flawed game, and I'm going to show you that with this video. Now, I also want to say that there is more story here than I initially thought, but still less than I initially wanted. Okay, let's get into it. Now, I had a lot of problems with the hit registration. Multiple times throughout my playthrough, there was times where I would know I'd land or I know I like thrown something and it should land, and nothing would happen. And I'm going to show you guys a couple more clips here. And this really never happened to me before in any other From Software title. I feel like the size of this game, it is a massive game. I feel like the scope and size of this game, it led to a lot of issues with the development cycle. It's a lot of areas that they didn't properly play test, in my opinion, and they're still broken even now, right now, today. On top of the hitboxes, I also had a problem with the overall collision detection with this game multiple times. And it's weird because certain locations it works like it's supposed to, and other locations you will get attacked through the walls all day long. It's just a really unbalanced, uneven, weird, frustrating experience. Okay, now this is one of the biggest criticisms I have against Elden Ring. The AI can be absolutely brain dead at times. It's easy to outsmart. Sometimes it'll just completely give up and stand still. And, like right here, I trick him into. Now, I was planning to trick him to come up the ladder and then attack him when he got up the ladder. He never goes up the ladder. He gets stuck in an animation loop of, basically just walking side to side, and that's that. He's there forever. He's not going to, leave the animation loop. And it is so easy to, get enemies to do that. And you can do it by accident. You can totally do it by accident. My biggest issue with this is it is not just regular enemies. This actually carries over into bosses, sadly. Some of these clips were completely accidental, and they just naturally happened. It was a natural occurrence all throughout this game. Hopefully I didn't put too many clips. I just wanted to show you guys that this is a problem all the way throughout the game. It's not any one enemy type or any one location. This is a Elden Ring problem for the entire game. The next couple clips are just minor glitches, but you know, they still shouldn't be here, and it shows an overall lack of polish with this title. I know some people are gonna say I'm nitpicking, but you know, you give something Game of the Year or a perfect 10, and it has issues like these. I just don't agree with that. Another thing that really disappointed me about this game is the number of recycled bosses. Now, I actually went into this game expecting, you know, a decent amount because someone told me about it, and I was still just blown away and absolutely surprised at how many they recycled. I believe you fight every boss 2 to 3 times or more. I believe you fight some bosses like 4 or 5 or even 6 times. It's just absolutely crazy. And you know, bosses are such a big part of Elden Ring, and you know, they're shamelessly recycled and copied and pasted, and like nobody really, you know, took points away from this game or even complained about it. And that's the biggest problem I have, because you know, it doesn't matter. I don't really care about journalistic opinion and all that bullshit. I don't really care about the Game of the Year nominees and winners. My issue is that From Software sees this and thinks it's okay, like, hey, I won an award for this, so why should I have enemy variety? Why should I actually have, you know, different bosses when I can just copy and paste some shit and I'll get Game of the Year? My game will get a perfect 10 if I copy and paste a bunch of bosses. Why am I going to have unique bosses with unique move sets when I can just literally take the same boss and have you fight him 8 times and then have you fight every other boss you've ever fought 3 to 5 times? It's just, I don't know. It's really disappointing because this sends the message to From Software that this is okay. And then we're going to be suffering with this the next game. Next, I'm gonna talk about the difficulty because this is a hot button topic. This game is difficult, but it's difficult for all the wrong reasons. I feel like where the past Souls titles punished you for making a mistake, Elden Ring punishes you for playing the game. It's like it's so caught up in being hard that it's not really fair or fun at a lot of times. It just comes across as just simply being annoying. There's a lot of traps set within levels to basically just kill you your first playthrough just because you don't know. Essentially, it's like you don't even get a learning opportunity. Sometimes the game just wants to kill you, so you know it can just, you know, have that whole get good mentality thing be pushed, and it just, it's bad. And the thing that's very weird about it is like most of these deaths, they feel very cheap. They don't feel like something that's, you know, was really well thought out and well coded like the past From Software titles. I'm not afraid to say, guys, I spent days trying to beat bosses in Dark Souls 3 and Demon Souls, and like hell, even Bloodborne sometimes. Like it took me a while. Those well crafted bosses actually took me a while to beat. I actually had to practice and learn the boss and basically get better with my reaction time, etc. Here in Elden Ring, that's not really the case. The game isn't really structured like that. Even though something will kill you, usually because it's bullshit, you'll get one shot or like, you know, some crazy shit will happen. You don't really get set back the same way. Since it's just, you know, crazy random bullshit, it's usually just an annoyance and a hindrance. It's not really something that can set you back since it's not really structured the same way as past titles. And trust me, I'm not saying Elden Ring is easy. It is difficult, but it's difficult for all the wrong reasons. Like technical issues I mentioned earlier, bad camera angles, bad design choices, and overpowered bosses. The difficulty is not as well structured as past titles, so it doesn't really feel balanced and it doesn't really feel rewarding to play through. Now this boss here was by no means easy to defeat. It took a number of tries for me to finally beat him, especially too considering you have to travel all the way through the level to get to him. It's a pain in the ass. But what I noticed here is like you can see a massive difference between this boss fight and the boss fights in Elden Ring. You know, he actually has a pattern to his attacks. He's not hyper aggressive. There's room for error on both of our parts. There's room for error on my part. There's room for error on his part. It's a level of fairness that's just not present in Elden Ring. And I mean, honestly, this is probably one of my favorite boss fights. Now here's a clip of a boss battle in Elden Ring for comparison. Now one of the first things that jumps right out at me is the fact that the damage is not set for the boss. They are basically able to do whatever they feel like. You know, there's no set amount for their attacks. It's whatever the game feels like. You'll be able to tank attack, and then the very next attack, the same attack, you can no longer tank it with the same amount of health. The game just wants you dead, so you're dead. And this honestly put me off of the game. I realize now why I was getting burnt out, why I don't like it, and why I wouldn't even put it as game of the year without the technical issues I've listed earlier in the video. And I generally just did not like how most of the boss battles in this game were designed. This goes from having to fight multiple bosses at the same time to some bosses being able to use infinite combos, which leave you almost no time for reaction, while other bosses' movesets are entirely based on excessively delayed attacks specifically designed to always trick you into rolling too soon or too late. On top of this, you also have a lot of bosses that are just able to one-shot you, and you're not learning the boss. You're basically just panic rolling, praying that you don't get hit, and trying to like deal as much damage as possible. It just creates this really frustrating experience that's nothing like, you know, the past games. After like bouncing back and playing like Demon Souls or Dark Souls, you kind of realize how much worse Elden Ring is by comparison. All right, next I want to talk about the magic system, and I absolutely hated the magic system in this game for multiple reasons. First thing I want to talk about is the sacred seals and the staves or staves. The thing I did not like about the sacred seals is the fact that each sacred seal has its own exclusive groups of spells. On top of that, too, you have to find the spells also. And you also have this long list of attributes that are required to use magic in this game. And this includes intelligence, mind, faith, and arcane. That's four different stats right there. And all of those are required to be able to use all the spells in the game. On top of all this, I generally just did not think the spells were that good. I'm going to show you some clips here that are comparing the spells to Ashes of War and Weapon Arts, and they are just grossly outperformed by the Ashes of War and the Weapon Arts. Now, I'm aware that there are broken spells. I'm aware there's like OP spells. What I'm talking about here, though, is the entire magic system. I feel like if you make a purely magic build in this game, it sucks. It's really bad, and I don't understand why they didn't really improve this. I feel like the cast times should have been better for magic. Like right here, you're seeing me use the staff, and look at that. I can't even cast. I don't even have time to cast. I am interrupted constantly, and this happens the same thing with the sacred seals. Now, sacred seals cannot be given armament buffs or ashes of war. Staves slash staves can be given certain ashes of war, but the scaling for dexterity and strength only add to your physical melee damage. They do not add to sorcery scaling. All of this kind of makes them the worst weapons, in my opinion, in the entire game. I feel like it's not many weapons that are worse than the staff. And with that being said, I actually prefer the sacred seals because they have lower requirements than the staffs or staves. Okay, in this clip here, I'm testing the effectiveness and the damage of a spell versus an Ash of War. Now, one of the things that really stuck out to me about this clip is the cast time. It takes so long to cast spells in this game in comparison to Ashes of War. Now, also, you're going to see there's a massive damage difference. Now, I actually tested this out on a number of spells and weapons, and even on weaker weapons that weren't upgraded, Ashes of War won every single time. It had a faster cast rate, it did more damage, and it was generally just more effective in combat than the spells. What makes this even worse is Ashes of War also have no requirements, scale with weapon level, weapon affinity type, intelligence, and faith, on top of some giving you a passive elemental buff to base attacks. This is also true of weapon arts, except they do have requirements. They have stat requirements. This all just raises the question to me, like, why even have magic in the game? It seems like the game could have been better if they just cut magic out entirely and just focused on weapon arts and Ashes of War. I felt like they could have used those resources to polish a lot of the things that I've critiqued in this video. In closing, I want to say this is just a really weird game for me in the sense of a love-hate relationship. I don't think I've ever really experienced this with a game. Like, generally you like a game or you hate a game, but with Elden Ring, I feel like it depends on where you are in the game. Because there was times like when I was capturing footage for this video, I dreaded having to play this game. And then literally in the same week, I was like hyped to play it again. It's like, oh man, I can't wait to play Elden Ring again. It's just like this constant back and forth. And the reason for that is all the issues I mentioned in this video. And a lot of people want to call it a flawed masterpiece. I disagree with that. That's an oxymoron. Masterpieces aren't flawed. I feel like this is a good game that just is hindered by a lot of issues and bad design choices and just overall lack of polish. I don't really think it's a flawed masterpiece. I think it's just a good game with a lot of problems. And if I honestly, if I had to rate it, I'd probably give it like a 7.5. And it's like I know a lot of people may think that's like a too low of a score or anything like that, but I feel like that is appropriate for everything that's wrong with this game here. I never would give it Game of the Year. And like I said, I still don't hate the game. I plan to play it more after this, but I'm definitely taking a long break because I've been doing marathon sessions so I could, capture all this footage. But anyway, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the video, man. Like, comment, subscribe. See you on the next video, man. Hey, thank y'all for watching, man. Like, I was actually really surprised at how many people watched like all of my last video. Hopefully you guys watch this one. This is going to be a test bed on longer content. I usually try not to make my videos this long. I believe I only have like one video that's like 15 minutes, and this one's going to be 16 something. Anyway, thanks for watching, man. See you on the next video.
I have no doubt you will become Elden Lord. May you take the throne.